Stephanie gave Deshawn a black eye. That's why they're keeping him from seeing his mom. They're scared. So there was recently a video clip going around, and I was tagged in it, and it was copies of where Child Services had contacted Desiree. And it said, DHS contacted me yesterday to let me know that his dad's girlfriend gave him a black eye. First of all, why are you touching that child? Stephanie, that is not your child to be putting hands on. Drew needs to be the one fathering him, not you. And not only that, why would you be punching a child in the face? You're supposed to be so sweet and all this and that. Now it makes sense. Back when he was cleaning the chicken or whatever he was doing in the sink, and everybody said that it looked like he jumped, flinched. Yeah, now it makes sense. Because you're sitting there hitting him. But then you want to be on live yesterday talking about, boo-hoo, I have a support team as long as I leave him. Girl,
Let's not sugarcoat it. Stephanie Jenkins and Drew have completely discredited themselves as capable parents. And this time, they did it all on their own. Publicly, loudly, and worst of all, carelessly. There was no smear campaign, no twisted narrative, no one else to blame. Just two adults who walked themselves right into the storm and turned on the camera while doing it. With Desiree now filing for full custody of her son Deshawn, the odds are not just stacked against Stephanie and Drew. They are buried under the weight of their own words. Because Drew, the biological father, just admitted on a live stream, watched by thousands, that he wouldn't even try to keep Deshawn if Stephanie left. And that changes everything. That one confession might be all Desiree needs to walk into court and walk out with her son. Drew just gave Desiree her winning argument. This disaster didn't just quietly unfold. It exploded live on the internet. Stephanie and Drew willingly brought the relationship issues to a public stage, turning what could have been a private conversation into a performance. But what they revealed wasn't just a couple working through problems. They showcased every fault line in their relationship, every failure in communication, and most importantly, every weakness in their ability to co-parent. From the first few moments, it was clear they weren't on the same page, or even on the same book. Stephanie, clearly emotional, wasn't upset about Drew's lack of parenting effort. She was hurt and angry that Drew publicly admitted he wouldn't fight for Deshawn if push came to shove. And instead of processing that disappointment in private, she lashed out, with thousands of viewers watching in real time.
Can you get off my freaking shit with that? Please. I'm so tired of that. There's nobody, he's not trying to be free from anybody. Okay? He's one of the only reasons I still put up with your scrap. It's because I low-key wonder what kind of parenting that child's gonna end up with without me in the freaking picture.
All right, everybody has a view on what she said, but I honestly feel like she's telling the truth. And it looks like it's been a roller coaster for her. I feel like she stayed with him for the little boy, and she did everything as far as giving him every time to make sure he was happy, to keep her household happy. And I get it. A lot of y'all are probably going to say, why did she just leave? Maybe it was not that easy. It wasn't as easy as just picking up your stuff and leaving. We don't know her entire situation. She kept a lot off, but she told us a lot too. And honestly, she stuck by him. Some women do that. She probably trauma bonded to him. Who knows? But now that she's come to the internet telling people that she's getting out of the situation, the same people that was literally dogging her have nothing to say. That's the crazy part about it. Not everybody want to see you win these days. They love drama. They want to see you fail. And they still don't talk about you in a negative way. Let's be real. She's still in the motel. She probably gave this man every dime that she had. And now she's posting her content to pull in some more money so she can get out of her situation. The ones that keep saying that they see the PlayStation and that girl pawn that PlayStation, they're going to be the ones to bring a woman down when they're already down. That's what's wrong with the internet nowadays. They love to bring somebody down when they're already down. They like to kick them in their face. She's tried to reach out to her mom, her sister.
But here's the critical thing. Her frustration wasn't about Deshawn's well-being. It wasn't rooted in love for the boy or concern for his emotional safety. It was about control, power, appearances. Stephanie outright said she was uncomfortable with the idea of Deshawn going back to his mother because he would have a better quality of life, a better home, more stability, things that, in her own words, her biological children wouldn't get. That wasn't a mother figure trying to protect a child. That was a woman trying to keep Deshawn from having more than her own kids. And not because it was wrong, but because it made her feel inferior. So, instead of encouraging a better future for Deshawn, she was actively advocating to keep him stuck in instability. To her, equality meant equal struggle. Stephanie wasn't worried about what Deshawn might lose by leaving. She was worried about what he might gain and what that would say about her situation. In her mind, if one child gets out, the others feel left behind. And rather than lifting them all up, she'd rather pull them all down to the same level of chaos. That's not parenting out of care. That's parenting out of competition. And competition with a child is not only heartbreaking, it's harmful. So no, Stephanie's anger wasn't protective. It wasn't nurturing. It was rooted in insecurity, and it played out for everyone to see. She wanted Deshawn to remain in dysfunction so that he wouldn't make her children feel small. And that's not parenting. That's punishment dressed up as fairness. Stephanie's jealousy isn't parenting, it's control. What Stephanie admitted on that live stream was nothing short of chilling and incredibly telling. Her jealousy wasn't subtle, it was fully exposed. She was uncomfortable, even threatened by the idea that Deshawn might go on to a better, more stable life with his mother. And instead of celebrating the idea that a child could thrive, she made it clear that she would rather keep him stuck in struggle, just so her own children wouldn't feel left out. It had absolutely nothing to do with what was best for Deshawn. There was no mention of his emotional health, his education, or his safety. Instead, her focus was on appearances, on how it would look and feel to her if Deshawn had more than her kids did. It was about optics, the fear of imbalance, the fear of being exposed as someone who can't provide the same quality of life. She wasn't trying to be protective. She was trying to be controlling. In Stephanie's mind, Deshawn going back to his mom wasn't a win for him. It was a loss for her, a blow to her ego, a reminder that someone else could give him what she couldn't. That's not motherly love. That's envy in its rawest form. And it's a dangerous mindset when you're making decisions for a child. She didn't say she feared Deshawn would be mistreated by his mother. She didn't express concern of his emotional transition or adjustment. She flat out said she didn't want him to get better things than her kids because it would make them feel. So instead of being happy for him, she'd rather drag him down to the same dysfunction she lives in. That's not parenting. That's projection. That's resentment being disguised as care. And no child should be the one to carry the weight of an adult's unresolved feelings or insecurities. That's not love. That's insecurity. That's emotional sabotage. And in court, that matters more than most people realize. Drew's confession was the final nail. Let's not forget Drew's part in this mess, because it's just as bad, if not worse. On the same live stream, he didn't hesitate. He didn't try to spin it. He said it plain and simple. He only has Deshawn because Stephanie is around. If she ever left, he wouldn't even try to keep his own son. In his words, it would be too hard. Too hard to take care of one child. Too hard to handle basic parenting duties like making doctor's appointments, checking homework, showing up to school functions, or even just being emotionally present. According to Drew, it's just too much. This is a man who can spend hours upon hours in front of a screen, gaming, unplugged from real life. But the moment real responsibility enters the picture, he taps out. He didn't say this with regret. He didn't seem embarrassed. He said it like it made perfect sense. Like it was okay to treat your own child like an option or task that becomes disposable the second your partner walks away. That wasn't just a passing comment. That was a declaration, a statement to the world that his parenting begins and ends with convenience. And when parenting becomes inconvenient, Drew's instinct is to run, to hand over the responsibility to anyone else. Stephanie, the system, even no one at all. It's chilling, not just because it reveals his mindset, but because he said it casually. There was no urgency, no worry about how Deshawn might feel hearing those words one day. And that right there is the problem. Fathers are supposed to fight for their kids. They're supposed to step up, especially when it's hard. But Drew, he waved the white flag before the battle even started. That's not a capable father. That's not a man trying. That's a walking red flag. And he chose to wrap himself in it on a live stream for everyone to see. Stephanie took over parenting, and that's the problem.
All of y'all got y'all priorities fucked up. Drew want to play the game, you want to cook all day, and now Desiree want to go parasailing. I don't really have too much to say about this situation, but just some things are better left unsaid, and some things the internet don't need to know about. If you really truly want to fight for your family, truly do that behind the scenes and on the scenes. Like, I just feel like a lot of this stuff is going crazy right now because at the end of the day, first of all, we don't know enough about Desiree. And then I seen a video talking about how she went parasailing instead of getting a visit. First and foremost, maybe she did go parasailing. And maybe somebody paid for her to go parasailing. Maybe it was a gift. Maybe it was a Groupon. Who knows? But maybe she did spend some of that GoFundMe to go parasailing. We don't know. We don't know her actual financial accounts, her financial situation. What we do know is a lot of people donated $10,300 for her to get a lawyer because she didn't have the funds or access to the funds to get said lawyer. And now she's going parasailing. That makes me question her parenting abilities. As well as, even if she did spend her money or have a Groupon certificate or what have you, whatever the case may be, it still made me question her parenting abilities because why aren't we fighting enough to just go see him? Why are we so soft-spoken on live saying, I don't know what to do, this, that, and the third? Go get your son. If you truly felt like if you truly feel recovered, if you are a recovering addict and you feel like you have rehabilitated, you would not let anything stop you. I mean, if it was me, I would have already been to family court again to demand. I don't give a fuck, lawyer or no lawyer. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what they got going on. I'm going to do what I got to do to order them to give me my child back. Fuck them supervised visitations. Fuck the visitation, because the visitation and the parenting plan ain't fucking working to begin with. And then let's go back to Stephanie and Drew. Now they going through a whole breakup or relationship issues and stuff. This don't look good on them. If this is being brought to the court, if this becomes something that's getting brought to court, then yeah, this is going to look bad on them. And then the fact that Drew said he is not fit to go to work, he is not fit to be a parent, and if it wasn't for Stephanie, he don't know what he would do. Like, if Stephanie leaves, he's not going to have Deshawn, like, he's going to not fight for Deshawn. That should tell you everything. And I'm not saying that Stephanie is a bad parent. I just think she just don't, it's the way you go about certain shit. When you went viral, you should have had more growth. Like, you should have put yourself in a better situation. And like another creator said, like, at the end of the day, nobody hates you because of your situation. A lot of people just don't like you because of how you take the situation, how your attitude towards the situation. And that's very well true, because why do you have no attitude of gratitude? Why aren't you thankful for the position that you're in so that you can be in a better position? And it seems like every time we turn around, you're doom and gloom. Woe is me. You're negative Nancy. Like, I don't understand that. Like, you have so many opportunities, especially with this huge platform. You got TikTok, you got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You have such a huge opportunity that people that are in your shoes, relatable, just like me, as a Hill Hood baby living in a low budget hotel with a working husband, 5 descendants, including a non-verbal toddler that is autistic while still breastfeeding an 11-month-old infant. Somebody like me would have taken your opportunity and used it to the best ability. Okay, like, I don't get how y'all going through so much troubles, so many struggles, so much sorrows, so many woes. Like, it should have been going up from here. It should be only up from here. And the fact that Drew is telling you he don't want to be a parent, and then part of your life said something as far as him just now starting to be a parent because of the camera, because of the virility, because y'all went viral. That's when he started being more active, and you started doubling down. Every time somebody said something for a whole year, everybody kept saying, boy, yo dude ain't shit, and you just kept defending him. Now you getting on here talking about you tired. But just recently you posted a video saying how much y'all go through so many ups and downs, and you willing to sacrifice and willing to go through it with him, this, that, and the third. It's too many elements to this case, and I just feel like now one of y'all needs y'all children.
Stephanie has said more than once that she's the one taking Deshawn to his doctor's appointment, that she's the one calling his teacher, she's the one doing the parenting work. But here's the legal reality. Stephanie has no legal rights to Deshawn. She's not married to Drew. She's not a guardian. She's just a girlfriend playing mom. So while she's busy inserting herself into his life, the only person the court will look at is Drew. And Drew just disqualified himself live. Desiree has the receipts, and the judge will see them. Every confession, every outburst, every careless word caught on live stream, it's all part of a growing mountain of evidence now. It's no longer just moments of drama. These are legal tools, ready to be used in court. Desiree and her legal team aren't just scrolling aimlessly. They're documenting everything. They're clipping videos, pulling exact quotes, noting dates and timestamps, and piecing together a very clear and undeniable picture of what life looks like under Stephanie and Drew's rule. This isn't one isolated event or a bad day. It's a pattern. A timeline of manipulation, emotional instability, and pure neglect, from public admissions of not wanting to parent to casual remarks about leaving the child behind if the relationship ends. Drew and Stephanie have built a case against themselves, and Desiree doesn't even need to explain much anymore, because Drew already said it all, out loud, on the record. The court won't even need to stretch to understand what's going on. There is no speculation required when the subjects themselves are narrating their own failures in real time. All the judge needs to do is press play. Stephanie is a legal stranger and a potential threat. Things get even worse when you take a deeper look into Stephanie's history with Deshawn. Because this situation isn't just about who has custody, it's about who's potentially causing harm. And when a child's safety is in question, everything else fades into the background. There are already formal complaints and reports on file, real documented concern. One of the most disturbing incidents involves Deshawn ending up with a black eye while under Stephanie's care. That's not speculation. That's a fact that's been floating in public conversation for months. What makes it worse is how casually both Stephanie and Drew have treated it. To this day, no one has given a straight answer about what actually happened. Stephanie has never gone live to explain the injury. Drew hasn't spoken on it either. No explanation, no accountability, no sense of urgency to clear the air or reassure the public that Deshawn is safe. It's been complete silence from both of them. And in court, that kind of silence screams. When something as serious as a black eye happens to a child, especially one who's already in the middle of a custody tug of war, you'd expect the adults involved to take it seriously, to provide context, to at least address the concern. But the fact that they haven't, that's terrifying. Because either they don't have a reasonable explanation or they are choosing to hide something, and either the scenario is a red flag, a big one. When a child gets hurt, especially in a home already being scrutinized for instability, any unexplained injury becomes critical evidence, and the refusal to speak on it only adds weight to the concern. The silence isn't protecting anyone. If anything, it's making everything worse. And in court, that silence doesn't just speak, it echoes loudly. Unstable on camera.
Stephanie gave Deshawn a black eye. That's why they're keeping him from seeing his mom. They're scared. So there was recently a video clip going around, and I was tagged in it, and it was copies of where Child Services had contacted Desiree. And it said, DHS contacted me yesterday to let me know that his dad's girlfriend gave him a black eye. First of all, why are you touching that child? Stephanie, that is not your child to be putting hands on. Drew needs to be the one fathering him, not you. And not only that, why would you be punching a child in the face? You're supposed to be so sweet and all this and that. Now it makes sense. Back when he was cleaning the chicken or whatever he was doing in the sink, and everybody said that it looked like he jumped, flinched. Yeah, now it makes sense. Because you're sitting there hitting him. But then you want to be on live yesterday talking about, boo-hoo, I have a support team as long as I leave him. Girl, I can't even say what I really want to say, but like y'all know, drop those comments below and let me know y'all's thoughts.
Stephanie's live stream behavior tells a much deeper, more unsettling story than most people realize. This isn't just about a few bad moments. It's a pattern of emotional damage playing out in real time. We've watched her snap at her children, brush them off, and even humiliate them right there on camera, as if it were just another casual part of her content. These aren't isolated incidents. They are a glimpse into what life might really look like behind the scenes. One of the most heartbreaking examples happened during a live stream when Stephanie's daughter, clearly trying to be gentle and respectful, approached her and asked if they were still going to get donuts. This wasn't a tantrum or demand, just a simple, hopeful question from a child who probably had her heart set on that moment. And Stephanie's response? When will you get used to being disappointed?
What?
I told you to leave you alone, that's all.
Oh, you ain't gotta leave me alone, but
I was just asking when are we gonna get the donuts.
I told you. When are you gonna get used to being disappointed? It's gonna have to be you or me who go get him later. He don't made his choice, he's not gonna take you.
What?
I'm sorry. I'm tired of that shit too. I'm tired of him saying he's gonna do stuff for my kids, and then he just, oh, maybe then, maybe that. Disappointment. Yo.
That one sentence landed like a punch to the gut. Not just for the child, but for anyone watching. You could almost feel the weight of those words sink into the little girl. Her face dropped, her tone shifted, and in that instant, something innocent and trusting in her dimmed. It was a real-time example of how emotional wounds are inflicted. But instead of realizing her mistake or showing compassion, Stephanie doubled down. She brushed off the moment by saying she was just being honest, that she was laying out the facts, that she was teaching her daughter how to be tough. But there is a massive difference between truth and trauma. Honesty doesn't have to hurt. And what Stephanie did wasn't honest parenting. It was cold. It was dismissive. It was cruel. Rather than taking the opportunity to comfort her daughter or taking accountability for the disappointment, she chose to normalize pain, to set the standard that disappointed is expected, that her daughter should simply learn to deal with it. But children shouldn't have to get used to disappointment by their parents. That's not strength. It's learned helplessness. And when a mother actively contributes to that by saying it out loud, with no remorse in front of an audience, that's not just bad parenting. That's emotional conditioning, and it's deeply damaging. Parenting through trauma is not an excuse. Stephanie likes to say she's raising her kids to be tough, that they need thick skin, that life is hard and it's better for them to be prepared.
Yeah, I'm letting her know, like, girl, you really don't think that we're just... I'm gonna take you, baby girl. I got your back. If you have an issue with how I just laid facts out to my daughter of like, hey, we got this. Okay, cool. Raise your pillow soft, children. My kids are being raised with some tough skin. Right. I don't jive with it. Like, and I don't appreciate the, you're a kid, I'm parent, you do as I say, you have no opinion. Like, I don't like that kind of vibe of parenting at all. My kids have a voice, they can speak up. That's why she knows to come up and ask me in the first place if she's still gonna go get donuts. And if I was worried about y'all's opinions, I wouldn't have talked to her like that. I didn't do nothing wrong. Big petty energy it definitely you picked the right name for yourself. Why you want to clout being petty? That's not even funny.
But the way she goes about it isn't tough love. It's emotional warfare disguised as parenting. Instead of building resilience, she's handing down pain like a family heirloom. She's not teaching them how to cope. She's teaching them how to internalize disappointment as something they should expect from people who are supposed to protect them. That's not how you raise strong kids. That's how you teach them that being hurt is normal. She thinks she's instilling strength, but what she's actually doing is creating numbness. When a child is told too many times that they need to just accept being let down, they stop hoping, they stop asking, they stop trusting. And that damage doesn't just go away. It shows up later in life as self-doubt, anxiety, and deep emotional wounds that take years to unlearn. One especially troubling moment came when Stephanie openly shared that her 10-year-old daughter was asked to weigh in on whether or not she would stay in her relationship with Drew. Let that sink in. A 10-year-old child being invited to an adult discussion with the emotional weight of choosing whether her family stays together or not. Stephanie didn't seem to think there was anything wrong with this. She treated it like it was mature, like it was cute, like her daughter being able to participate in her parents' relationship drama was some sign of emotional intelligence. But it's not cute. It's not mature. It's damaging. That's not parenting. That's putting a child in a role they should never be in. That's outsourcing adult emotional responsibility onto someone who barely understands what's happening. It's deeply inappropriate. It's emotionally irresponsible. And it's a textbook example of parentification, a form of neglect where the child is forced to become the adult before they're ready. Children aren't supposed to carry that kind of emotional burden. They aren't therapists, they aren't marriage counselors, and they definitely shouldn't be the ones helping their parents decide whether to stay in a relationship or walk away from it. Kids aren't therapists, they are kids. Children should never be in the middle of their parents' emotional battle. That's not just a suggestion, it's a basic principle of healthy parenting. They shouldn't be forced to pick sides. They shouldn't be weighed down by adult emotions. They shouldn't have to navigate relationship problems, money stress, or custody drama. That kind of exposure chips away at their innocence. It confuses them, it scares them, and it makes them feel responsible for things that aren't theirs to carry. But with Stephanie, this line gets crossed over and over again. It's not just an occasional slip. It's a repeated pattern of pulling her kids into emotional storms they have no business being in. She vents about Deshawn's mother right in front of him, using him as an emotional witness to a conflict he didn't start and can't solve. She complains about Drew and their relationship struggles in front of all the children, talking about betrayal, disappointment, and adult-level resentment, like it's a normal dinner table conversation. And every time she crashes on live, whether she's overwhelmed, angry, or just spiraling, it's her kids who are sitting just a few feet away, hearing every word. Their young minds are absorbing the tension, the yelling, the tears, the bitterness. They become bystanders to their own emotional destruction, quietly soaking in a level of dysfunction that will take years to unlearn. This isn't accidental. It's become a part of the atmosphere, and no child should grow up thinking that emotional chaos is just part of love, that yelling is normal, that crying during live streams is part of her daily life, that in Stephanie's house, it is. And her kids are the ones paying the price. Deshawn deserves better, and so do the rest of the kids. Deshawn's situation is beyond heartbreaking. He's not just being emotionally excluded, he's living in a house where his presence feels like an afterthought. It's not just what's said to him or about him, it's the energy, the planning, the care, or complete lack thereof that tells the story. When his birthday came around, it was painfully clear who mattered more. His celebration was pieced together at the very last minute. No balloons, no excitement, dollar store gifts tossed together like a task on a checklist. No real effort, no signs that his birthday had been thought about ahead of time. It wasn't a celebration, it was a bare minimum performance. Something to say, we did something, even though the heart wasn't in it.
Oh my goodness! Oh, jelly. I'm not jelly. Because my breath is coming up. Hey.
You just like mama with the beard. It don't come off and it don't.
And the comparison is impossible to ignore. Stephanie's biological children had birthdays with planning. You could tell someone cared. There were pre-ordered gifts that took time and intention. There were decorations. There was joy. There was thoughtfulness in every detail. And Deshawn, he got leftovers, if even that. Kids aren't blind. They see the differences. They feel them. Maybe they can't always put the pain into words, but that pain sits with them. It grows with them. Deshawn isn't just being excluded emotionally. He's being told through actions that he's not part of the inner circle, that he's temporary, that he's less than. And perhaps the saddest part, he's not being raised in that household. He's not being nurtured, loved, or guided. He's not being poured into like a child should be. He's just there, existing, being managed, being tolerated, not embraced. And no child deserves to grow up in a home where they feel like a burden or a charity case. Deshawn deserves better than being the child who's always just there. He deserves to be chosen, to be celebrated, to be prioritized, not pitied. This is the parenting battle that shouldn't be a battle. Let's be real. This isn't even a debate anymore. Drew openly admitted he doesn't want to keep Deshawn if Stephanie leaves. That alone speaks volumes about his commitment as a parent. Add that to the fact that Stephanie, who has no legal rights over Deshawn, is emotionally erratic, frequently volatile, and has demonstrated patterns of questionable behavior online. It's not hard to see the truth. Stephanie might act like she's involved in parenting, but in the eyes of the law, she holds no weight. She's not married to Drew, and she's not Drew's legal guardian. Her instability only adds fuel to the fire. Meanwhile, Desiree has been fighting quietly, gathering documentation and preparing to bring her son home. She hasn't relied on theatrics. She's relied on facts. And right now, every single one of those facts is working in her favor. The judge won't need to do much digging at all. The evidence is everywhere, sprawled across TikTok live streams, Instagram stories, and Facebook videos. The confessions, the negligence, the favoritism, the emotional harm. It's all been recorded by the very people now trying to claim they're fit to parent. And all of it paints a painfully clear picture. Deshawn is not safe, supported, or prioritized where he currently is. He's not where he belongs, and the internet already knows it. Now it's just up to the courts to make it official. What happens next? Deshawn could soon be back with his mother, and that is the one piece of hope in this entire situation. It's a rare and fragile win in a story otherwise filled with pain. One child removed from a toxic environment, one young life given a second chance to grow in peace, love, and safety. And while that alone should be enough to celebrate, we can't ignore what's still left behind, because Deshawn isn't the only child in that home. What about the others? What happens to Stephanie's biological children who are still living in the same motel, breathing in the same dysfunction, sitting silently through live streams filled with yelling, insults, and emotional instability? These kids are still there, watching every breakdown, absorbing every misplaced emotion, and quietly being shaped by the chaos around them. They may not be caught in the custody battle, but they are caught in a war of emotional survival. If Deshawn lives, will that spark something in Stephanie? Will it make her reflect? Or will she spiral even deeper? Will Drew take this as a wake-up call and start stepping up as a father to his other kids? Or will he simply continue to check out, controller in hand, while the family falls apart around him? There is a deep fear that this could be the beginning of a larger unraveling, because Deshawn's departure could expose just how fragile the entire foundation is. It could crack open everything they've been trying to hold together with weak excuses and live stream distractions. And let's not forget, these are real lives, real children, not content, not entertainment, not background noise for internet gossip. Stephanie and Drew may treat their lives like a show, but the pain their children are living through is anything but scripted. It's raw, it's ongoing, and if something doesn't change fast, this story is going to end exactly how it's been playing out. A tragedy in progress. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated as this story continues to unfold. Because this isn't just drama, it's real life, and the stakes couldn't be higher.